I've received several comments on different social media outlets commenting on my aim. I really appreciate the kind words. I'm going to show you how I practice that. My favorite two are this one and this one. So let's show you each of these. So here's a great way to work on your shotgun aim training. I'm going to do the combat shotgun, even though it's not in the season. It allows me specifically to work on a quicker, tighter spread, and you can shoot much faster. Like if I just sit here and just shoot, this is much faster. You just ran into that bullet. Than doing like a havoc pump or whatever. So this is a good way to work on fast aim training. Instead of just shooting one person at a time, you can specifically work on alternating your shots. It's going to force you to get better at quickly targeting between different people. So that way you are not just sitting here and targeting one person and just watching this one person, but are instead having to quickly be able to switch back and forth. Because once you kill somebody, you're gonna wanna be able to find your next target very quickly. And so this is a great way that you can work on that, is just by working on these flick shots from one bot to the next. Another way that you can work on aim training is to actually just focus on one person at a time. And that makes it so that you are getting used to maintaining on target for the people that you are fighting against. Okay, so you want to be able to not lose track of them. Now you'll notice that these people are jumping around way more sporadically than you can in the game. And this is actually good. If you overtrain and make it so that you are playing in an environment that is more difficult, then when you get to like an actual game where the person is like just jumping like this instead of jumping like this, then it's going to be a whole lot easier because you're going to be used to being able to move around very fast, and you can engage in those slower tracking motions much easier than you can in here where the motions are different. Now, another thing that I'll actually work on is I'll actually do this in different zones. So I might start myself up high and just shoot from here. I might force myself to not move and stay in the center, or I might allow myself to jump around. So many ways that you can practice doing this kind of variation. You can also have a practice routine where you go from pump into SMG, back into pump. Okay, so this is a great practice habit to get into, to be able to switch back and forth between your different shots. So that way you can practice switching from a heavy hitter into the thing that hopefully will finish them off, and if you happen to not, then you can switch back to your pump. So that pump, SMG pump combo is something that Zemi uses quite frequently, and it's something that I've seen a lot of like pro players do when they're doing like zero builds in particular. They will use this combination, like just do some kind of mobility, you know, back when that wasn't the game, and then quickly switch over to whatever their SMG is, and then finish it off with the pump. Now, another thing you can focus on is to work on the actual timing for the shotgun that you like. So here's how fast you can shoot with the Maven, if I just sit here and click over and over. So getting used to that speed, so that way I can time it and know exactly when I'm going to have that ability to fire it again. Now you notice when I do a lot of these shots, I'm actually doing flick shots, where I am moving out of the way, specifically to the left of the person that I'm shooting, so I can see more on my screen over on this right side, and that way I don't accidentally cover them up like that person and that person right there, okay? So I'm moving out of the way and basically just doing flick shots back and forth, so that way I can quickly show them, or so I can quickly work on my shots without covering up my line of sight. So another exercise that I like to work on is flick shots in different directions. So flicking to my left where I have the disadvantage, so this person is like hidden over here, and so I will intentionally try and work on the shots where I can't see like this. And so that way I'm not just used to these right-hand shots and can only do these right-hand peeks essentially. So I want to be able to have these better left-hand flicks. As you can see, I could still work on them. And being able to time this shot when they're obstructed, so I can't see them all the way. So this is a good way that you can practice working on this to make it so that, you know, you can get better at those shots. Even though you are in an unideal situation, you don't want to have this. You want to have those right-hand peeks over here. You need to practice the worst-case scenario so that way you can handle it with some confidence and whatnot when you are in an actual fight. I have, in this like 1 minute of doing aim training, more bot kills than I would get in like a single round. So you might get like 20, 30 people depending on like what kind of gun, what kind of like bot drill you're doing. But you can get so many more kills in here instead of spending like 20 minutes in a game and maybe getting like 10, 15 kills, where if I spent 20 minutes on just aim training alone, then I might be getting like 10, 20 times that amount that I would in 20 minutes. So this allows you to be more focused with your practice and whatnot. So that way you are not just like running around looting and like collecting mats, but are actively working on your aim for an entire like 20-minute spout. So I spend more time working on my aim training than I actually spend playing the game. And this like has significantly paid off in terms of being able to improve my aim overall. So when I get into a game, I'm confident that, hey, I'm gonna hit the shot. All right, so this one is the AR tag's long range. So one of the things that you can do like is just to work on recoil control. So specifically with the MK7, it's really hard moving my way down. I'm having to move my hand quite a bit in order to make it so that I can actually move down. So this is something to practice when somebody is falling, somebody is gliding, or somebody is using like a zip or something, to focus on one person at a time and to work on just the straight up and down motions without like making it so that your recoil is just like moving your gun way too far up. Okay, so the downward motions in particular are the harder of the two motions because you have to work a whole lot more than you do with up motions. Now, this can be difficult if you have a sensitivity that makes it so that you have to move a lot. You're not going to be able to get these down shots. And so if somebody starts moving down, you're going to be following them like this and not actually ever hit them. So if somebody is moving down and your aim sensitivity is preventing you from actually following them like this, just stop aiming and then just like find them again and then start shooting when they're lower. Okay, so you don't have to hold aim down sight the entire time. You can let go and do this as long as you know that it's going to be like a 1 or 2 second delay before you can actually like reacquire them. That's much better than sitting here and trying to pull this down, especially with like the recoil control and whatnot while you're doing this. See, I haven't been playing this that much, maybe for 15, 20 minutes, and I've gotten 150 kills. So that's way more than I would get in an actual game with like, you know, 20 minutes to play the round. So I don't know about you, but when the hammers were in and we had mobility and whatnot, it was very difficult to hit somebody who's like trying to actively get away from you, if they're flying away with a sword or whatever, and they're in the air at a distance. So what I recommend doing is alternating back and forth between targeting, one of these bots and then the other bot, and just going back and forth, hitting a single shot on them, if I can actually, you know, aim while talking, and then going to the next one. So this, again, is just making so you can get that final kill when that, you know, really annoying person who should have been dead, they're just one hit, and then they're using mobility to get away from you. You want to be able to just like get that single shot off. So this is a great way to practice doing that, just going back and forth between the two different bots as they move around. Now again, this is unnatural motion. This is not at all as smooth as somebody would move, unless they're out of rendering distance, but this is good practice for you. You can also increase the distance on this. So you can make this significantly further away, and this again just allows you to work on your aim in unideal scenarios where you are practicing going back and forth between two different people. Or you could do single pot shots on an individual and just try and practice your tracking of single shots and to work on the aim down sight this way. So this is another way that you can actually work on your shots rather than switching back and forth. All right, so here's the map code. It's 6531-5731-1207. Do you have any tips on how you practice your aim training that I haven't thought of or haven't shared in my videos?